السلام عليكم طلاب. اليوم راح نبدي بالمحاضرة الرابعة الخاصة بالسبيشال سينس اللي تتعلق بموضوع الهيرنج and equilibrium. As objective learning to this lecture, describe the anatomy of the ear and also sensory function in hearing and equilibrium. What is mean of ear? Which means include hearing and balance. Now, what is the structure of the ear? The ear has three major areas. This is include external, middle ear, and internal. So the external, or which means outer ear, the function of it's only for hearing, while the middle ear, which means tympanic cavity, is also function as similar to the external ear, which means hearing only, while the internal or inner ear, it will be responsible for hearing and also equilibrium. Now, the receptors for hearing and balance respond to separate stimuli and are activated independently. Now we are talking about the external ear. So as we said, we involved in the hearing only. Now the structure of the external ear, which include pinna, that will be responsible for collect sound, and external auditory canal. You can see in this picture the pinna auricles that collect the sound, and the external auditory canal that will be channels to send sound inward to the eardrum. So the external ear are include pinna or auricles and external auditory canal. Now, what is mean of external auditory canal? It is narrow chamber in the temporal bone through the external auditory meatus. So it is lined with the skin. Seminous gland are present, found in this, so we can see the wax inside the auditory canal. And end of it we have the tympanic membrane, which mean eardrum, that will the sound are after the collect in the auditory canal, it reach to the eardrum, which are found in the end of the tympanic membrane. Now the tympanic membrane or eardrum, it is boundary between external and middle ear. It is a boundary between the external and middle ear. So it is thin translucent connective tissue membrane. It is responsible when the vibration or vibrate to respond the sound. After the collect of the sound in the auditory in the pinna and external auditory canal, it will be reached to the eardrum and vibrate in response to the sound. So transfer sound energy to bones of the middle ear. After the external ear, it will be reached to the middle ear after the by the energy to the bound of the bones of the middle ear. The middle ear, or also known as tympanic cavity. Two tubes are associated with the inner ear. The opening from the auditory canal is covered by the tympanic membrane. As we said, it will be known as eardrum, while the auditory tube connecting to the middle ear with the thorax, also known as the Eustachian tube. This is Eustachian tube, can be inflamed, can be infection, and causes the pain in the middle ear because it connected with the thorax by this tubes or also called as Eustachian tube. So what is the function of the Eustachian tube? It is allow for equalizing pressure. It is allow for equalizing pressure during the yawing or swelling. And as we said, this is tube is otherwise are collapsed. Otitis media, you can see in this two picture between the infant and adult. The Eustachian tube are found in the connection between the auditory canal and the Eustachian tube, and this can be, as we said, infection and causes pain in the middle ear. Bones of the tympanic cavity. There are 3 bones span the cavity. What is the bones of the tympanic cavity? It is the 3 bones found in the cavity, which mean malleus, incus, and stapes. Now this is found in the middle ear. 3 bones of the tympanic cavity or middle ear, which means malleus, incus, and stapes. Now, vibration from eardrum move to the malleus. After vibration, after collect the sound in the pinea and auditory canal, reach to the tympanic membrane or eardrum. And vibration of the eardrum move the malleus inside the middle ear. And after this 3 bones are transfer the sound to the inner ear. Inner ear or bony labyrinth. It is also known as osseous labyrinth, twisted bony tubes. This includes sense organs for hearing and banals. It's also different from the outer and inner and middle ear. Now we are said as before, the outer and the middle ear are only for sound. For hearing, while in the inner ear hearing and equilibrium or balance. Now this inner ear or internal ear or bony labyrinth are filled with the perilymph. This fluid between the membranous labyrinth of the ear and the bone that will be enclosed to it. You can see in this picture the inner ear and the different part of the outer and middle ear inside. The inner ear, we can see the semicircular canal, we are the oval window as we talking about it in the next slides. And you can see cochlea, vestibular, auditory tube. We can see it later. Now, how can sound transmission? The sound waves from external environment enter the external auditory canal. When the sound enter the external auditory canal, the sound wave are vibration or causes vibration of the tympanic membrane. Now, this is tympanic membrane. This mean eardrum can be vibration by the sound from the outer environment, and this is vibration of the tympanic membrane leads to vibrate the ossicles, which means البونز 3 bones inside the inner ear اللي هي المالس والستابس والانكس, and against the oval window to open it, and causes a pressure on oval wind that will be responsible to transfer waves inside the cochlea. والcochlea contain a fluid which contain fill a fluid and then transfer the sound to the nerve, to the sound nerve, to the air nerve, and transfer it to the brain after collected from the outer ear. In this picture, you can see the steps of the transfer sounds from the outer and reach to the brain. In the first, we can see we collect the sound from the outer ear and pass during the auditory canal to reach to the tiny middle ear, contain bones that will be responsible for amplified sound, and then after amplified sound it reached to the cochlea. Cochlea are short sound by the waves, by the frequency. In the cochlea, after reach it from the middle ear, the cochlea are responsible to sort the sound by the frequency, and after this can be transferred to the nerve passes signal from the cochlea to the brain stem. It can be transfer the sound from the cochlea to the brain stem, and after reach to the brain stem, it will be responsible as a signal that will be travel through brain to the long way at reach in the auditory cortex process sound. It will be responsible to recognize it in the auditory cortex in the sixth stage from this sound collected from the outer during the middle, after reach to the inner and cochlea, and transfer to the nerve pulse after amplified it and collect it to reach to the cochlea by the nerve of the brain stem, and then signal that will be transferred to the auditory cortex that will be recognized at stage 6, recognize it and process the sound for the hearing. Now, as we said, the vibration of the stops are push and pull of the membranes. You can see in this diagram the outer ear, the middle ear, the inner ear, and in the stage of B. The outer ear contains pineal auditory canal and eardrum. Now this is outer ear, will collect the sound and amplify it. When it reaches to the middle ear, the amplification in the middle ear that will be moving the prelymph to the cochlea when it reaches to the inner ear. And when it reaches to the inner ear, moving through the cochlea, the round window after this is membrane opposite end to relieve the pressure. You can see in the picture A how can the vibration of the sound are enter from the outer ear and reach to the middle ear. When it reaches to the middle ear, it will be amplified in the middle ear and reach to the inner ear by the round window and open it to send the sound to the brain stem, and then recognize it in the stem of the brain cortex. Clinically, we have infection that occur in otitis media. So middle ear may be inflammation, and this is commonly used from the children. You can see the Eustachian tubular inflammation, and the middle ear have inflamed and causes pain to the children. Most frequent causes for hearing loss in children also. So an acute infection causes eardrum to black out where to become inflamed, and this cases can be treatment by antibiotic. There is no dangerous about it, but when its infection is not treated, that will be lead to severe infection and maybe loss of hearing from this infection. So antibiotic in the perfect time can be lead to improve the cases and don't lead to loss of hearing. Now inside the inner ear, when, as we said, we have the hearing and balance or equilibrium. So it is controlled through the vestibular system that is also contained in the inner ear. The vestibular organ share to the temporal bone spawn with the cochlea, and these organs are shared to the same fluid that is in the cochlea. So balance and equilibrium help to stay when standing and when we're moving and when we have any rotation that will be responsible for this balance. So it helps us to walk and we have to run and move without falling. The function of the vestibular system depended on the information from any system. So the balance not are especially for the hearing or especially for the ear only, but can be also by the vision, by the neck. So any vertigo can be occur not causes only from the hearing defect, but can be also by the vision defect, or maybe have any infection, or maybe have any problem in your neck, can be causes the vertigo. So the information, the function of this vestibular system are consist of the information about the any system. So also by the hearing, also by the vision, or by the neck. The vestibular system is consist from 3 semicircular canal. This is, you can see in this picture, you can see in this picture the semicircular canal, and this is semicircular canal consists from auricle and saccule. It consists from, so the vestibular system, you can see in this picture, the vestibular system consists of 3 semicircular canal, and 3 semicircular canal as consist from auricle and saccule. Now, semicircular canal function, we have the ampullae. Ampullae, it is enlargement on the end of the semicircular canal. This is the ampullae, you can see it in this picture. Ampullae, you can see in this picture, have the enlargement of the enlargement of the end of the semicircular canal, and have a small crest on the top of it to gelatinous mass known as capullae. Now, what is mean of capullae? Capullae have a hair cell that 2 kind of cilia, which means stercocilia and kinocilium. Stercocilia and kinocilia. Kinocilia, you can see it in picture. It is a large cilium located at one end of the hair cell, while the stercocilia are smaller than kinocilia. So kinocilia, it is a type of hair cells, have a large cilium located in the end of the ear, while the stercocilia, another types of the hair cells, and but shorter or smaller than kinocilia. When stercocilia are bent toward, kinocilia hair cell depolarized mean stimulated after movement, after any rotation in the head. The stercocilia and kinocilia from the hair cell can be movement. They would be responsible for stimulated to this movement. Sensory hair cell are activated by movement of inner air fluid. Endolymph. As the head moves, you can see in picture. Unstable and head moves, as in stationary and moving. As the head move, now you can see the hair cells in the semicircular canal. The hair cell is not clear. The hair cells in the semicircular canal send a nerve. You can see the nerve in the stationary. In the stationary of this picture, you can see the sensory nerve that will be sent impulse to the brain by way of the vestibular portion of the acoustic nerve, special nerve that will be responsible for send or receive impulses from the hair cell during the stationary and moving cases. These nerve impulses are proceed in the stem of the brain and in the brain cerebellum. Okay, this is the brain, this is the nerve impulse. After receive the impulses from the hair cell, after movement, that will be stimulus hair cell, which send a signal through the sensory nerve, and this is sensory nerve that will be send impulses to the brain cells and cerebellum to recognize the sound of the or rotation of the movement. The ends of the semicircular canal connect. The end of the semicircular canal are connect with the auricle, and the auricle connect with the saccule, while the semicircular canal provide information about movement. When the semicircular canal are provide information about the movement of the head, the sensory hair cell of the auricle and saccule, because it consists, the vestibular system are consisted from the semicircular canal, and semicircular canal are consisted from auricle and saccule. This is sensory hair cell of the saccule and auricle provide information to the brain about head position when it is not moving, about head position when it is not moving. Now, how can be sense the equilibrium? We have two types of statement. We have static equilibrium and dynamic equilibrium. Static equilibrium responsible for vestibule and mean the sense position of the head when it's not moving, while the dynamic responsible for semicircular canal mean the head are movement or rotation from side to side. Now, static equilibrium occurs when the body is motionless or moving is a straight line, not rotation or up to down head. The vestibule contain two sac-like structure, the auricle and the saccule, as we said. Each contain a small hair cells, each contain a small structure called maculae. Now, what is mean of maculae? It is contain a hair cell that protrude into the jelly-like otolithic membrane. So, a dense layer of calcium carbonate crystal called otolith cover the surface of the membrane. The maculae contain hair cell. Now, what is mean the maculae? It is structure found in the auricles and saccule. Each one of these are contain a maculae. Maculae contain hair cell, protrude the like jelly structure that will be responsible for cover the surface of the membrane and a dense layer of calcium carbonate crystal. So each one of these are responsible for static equilibrium. Semicircular canal system, it is linear acceleration and movement of otoliths. Hair cell transduce some otolith horizontal, some vertical. You can see in this picture as head in natural position and head in posterior position. When it is in natural position, the maculae are stable to responsible about the gravity, the hair cell, the maculae, the inside the ampullae, and other types of cell, kinocili and stercocili are stable. But when it head position or rotation from the posterior, you can see the otolitis are receive the information for the gravity and then send signal to the brain by the nerves inside the hair and send it to the cerebellum and the brain stem. Also, you can see in this picture in the left, otolitis are crystal inside it and responsible for the gravity to be movement and to be movement by the stimulation, the impulse of the hair cell inside the ampulla and macula, and this will be sent information as a signal during the sound nerve. Now, dynamic equilibrium occurs when the body is moving. Occurs when the body is moving in a rotation or an angular direction. So three semicircular canal, each at right angle to each other, contain a fluid, as we said, called endolymph. At the base of each canal is a swelling called ampulla. Now, this ampulla have a crista ampullaris, which consists of hair cell covered by a dome-shaped gelatinous mass called the capula. Also, this ampulla are connected together to recognize the sound, to recognize the movement of the head during the dynamic equilibrium. When the head are turned, the semicircular canals move with it, but the endolymph lags behind to the anterior, and this is a fluid can be pushed against the capula. This is a fluid can be pushed against the capula and tilts to one side. This causes the hair to bend, sending nerve impulse. Okay, when the head are moving, the capula and ampulla contain the hair cell. This is hair cell are receive the information about it by the signal of the nerve, and it will be movement from side to side by the movement of the head position, and then it will be send the nerve impulse to the brainstem and cerebellum. In this picture, you can see the semicircular canal. We can see the ampulla. It is enlargement in the end of semicircular canal, and inside the ampulla, you can see the capula. When it's enlargement of the capula, you can see the hair cell inside the capula. You can see the hair cell inside the capula, and you can see the hair cell after enlargement contain a nerve fiber. The two vestibular nerves. This nerve are sent impulse to the brainstem to recognize the hearing and movement. Also, you can see in this slide the semicircular canal. You can see inside it the ampulla, and inside the ampulla we have the capula. You can see inside the capula the hair cell, and hair cell contain the nerve fiber send impulse and information to the brain to recognize hearing and movement. Also in this picture, you can see another view of the semicircular canal after enlarge of it, fellow in the endolymph inside the ampulla, and this will be fellow of the endolymph can be sensed the capula, and capula inside of it have a hairs. Two types of hair, kinocilium and stercocelia, and this is hairs are movement after recognized after senses by the movement of the head by and send the signals or impulse to the nerve fibers that to recognize the body by the cerebellum. It will be a rotation, or it will be the body movement from up to down or right or left. In this picture we have two cases, A and B. A, in stationary, a section of the crystal. You can see the hair cells, you can see the capula and the signal are stable, not movement. But when it rotation section, the crystal and the hair cell will be rotation from side that will be receive the information for this rotation and send it to the brain.
نوجه سؤال بنهاية المحاضرة اللي يتعلق بالموضوع اللي شرحناه. السؤال مالتنا اليوم how can sound transmission and also what is the function of the vestibular system. As a recap to this lecture, the air has three major area اللي هي الاكسترنال نقصد بها الاوتر air اللي متخصصة بالهيرنج only and middle air اللي tympanic cavity اللي also ايضا تشترك مع الاكسترنال external ear for hearing only, while internal اللي هي الانر air اللي مسؤولة عن الهيرنج and equilibrium. The sound waves from external environment enter the external auditory canal and causes vibration of tympanic membrane. The vestibular system consists from three semicircular canals اللي هي تتكون من الأوتريكال and saccule. And finally, balance and equilibrium help us stay erect when standing. Now, where we are in the relation to the gravity and help us to walk, run and move without falling. إلى هنا انتهت المحاضرة الرابعة اللي تتعلق بموضوع الهيرنج and equilibrium. شكرا جزيلا.